everybody. How are you? Well, wanted to talk today about the question, excuse me, which is on every entry-level or new or beginner paralegal's mind. And this goes round and round. Over the years, this has been batted around and it's still talked about. And I've had people email me privately about, is it possible to, hi Brittany, good to see you. Is it possible to land a paralegal job with zero education, with zero experience, and with zero connections? That's the fear that people looking at this career for the first time, as you dive in or as you're going through school and or a certificate program, or none of that. Tanika, how are you? So that is one of the top questions, right? And one of the top concerns. And that has been that way for probably the whole 30 years I've been in the biz, in this career, because I jumped into it. I guess the paralegal career developed in the 80s, where instead of being like a legal secretary being called that, then it morphed into more of a assistant to the attorney kind of thing. Hi Yolanda, good to see you. So let me wave back at you. I've had people email me, and I tell this story. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe just 6 months ago, somebody emailed me and said, you know, I graduated. I did go to the go through the 2-year program, and I graduated and I could not land a job. And that always is so, it just, you know, it does more than tug at my heartstrings. It just makes me feel so badly for that person, but I know what the answers are. And that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? It is simply not true that everybody that goes into the field must have connections, and that everybody must have 2-year, 4-year PhD in paralegal studies. It's okay to do that, but it's not mandatory, even in California. And once you understand, and what I want you to do is always base your opinion on fact. This is what we do in the legal field. We don't base our opinions on guesstimates or anything hearsay someone else said, and we take it as the gospel truth. That's a huge mistake. And that has kept people out of the career because they believed it. And they thought, well, I don't have connections, so I just can't get in. I mean, I had no connections. I'm from New Jersey originally, moved to the Chicago area, the suburbs, for 4 years, then moved to Oklahoma. I had no connections when I entered the legal field. So, Vita, how are you? So, take that and throw that one out. Then with the education, there are people that enter the legal field every single day without education. But that's not to put anybody down who goes after degrees. That's not what this is about. It's just that I don't want you to think that you are pushed out of the field. I'm getting robocalls. That you are going to get pushed out of the field because you don't have those 3 things, or even you don't have one of them. You say, well, Leslie, I don't want to go into debt and I'm kind of in a dilemma. No, you're not. You can still go into this field. Leslie, I don't have connections. I can't go in. You can get in. Leslie, I don't have experience, and they all want experience. Let me tell you something. There are attorneys out there who will hire you. Okay. Now, what they will say, and they have said it to me, is I'll hire somebody that has no education and I'll train them in the way I want things done. They don't train anybody. And even if the ad says it, don't count on that. And it won't last if they do it. So you have to base everything that you're taking in on fact. Question it, okay? Question it. So I'm here to tell you that all of us broke in with zero experience. All of us. And some went to school and some didn't. And that goes on even today. This is not stuff based on 30 years ago. This is happening today. Okay, I had somebody on YouTube message me on YouTube and say, I cannot believe that door is open to me. And she tried it and it worked and she got in. She was being laid off as a mother of a 5-year-old at that time, who's probably 9 now, and taking care of her mom. And that comment is still on my YouTube channel at Paralegal Career Mastermind. So, and her name was Casey. So in some of the earlier videos, you'll see that comment there, and it's a long comment. And she landed the job. So she was watching people get laid off, and yet because she believed that she could do it. Now, what is the secret? The secret is not that attorneys are impressed with paper, with a degree. Some might be, but most want you to be able to say how you're going to help them. Okay, you just don't, if you're banking on, well, I have a degree or certificate and that will open that door and they will understand what I know. No, they will not. And what they want is for you to tell them what you know how to do. How will you help them in the practical, everyday work, right? Remember, you will not be a baby attorney. You will not be an entry-level attorney at that point, unless that's what your plan is. That's great. But you have to be able to communicate. This is how I will help you in this area of law. Like when you're applying, they specialize in certain areas of law. How you help them? Hi, Megan. Good to see you. Excuse me, guys. That's what they want to know. And where do you tell them that? Tamara, good to see you. Well, your resume is a set of facts. It is what it is. You're going to put down your past work history and on what software you know and all that stuff, right? But the cover letter, the cover letter, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And most people don't use it. Even outside of trying to get a paralegal job, they may be trying to land a management job somewhere. They don't use the cover letter like they should. Okay. Hi, Vandy. Thank you guys for being here today. This is a huge non-dilemma. Okay. People make it into a huge dilemma with that no connection, no experience, and no education. And they make it into a mountain because other people are saying that it is a mountain. But I'm here to tell you it is not a mountain. Hi, Brittany. Oh, okay. So for the person who could not get in and had graduated 6 years ago, in her scenario, she went to school for the 2-year program, graduated, could not land a job, and wasn't able to do these things I just talked about, saying how you're going to help the attorney. And she emailed me privately. And I said, it's as simple as this. And landed a job immediately. So you understand that listening to other people and hearsay is not the answer. Even if they're already in their career. Hi, Jennifer. And you're like, well, they should know. I'm here to tell you, waving back, Jennifer, that is not the truth. So I want you to, boy, you put that foot right in the legal field now here, or get your head inside, because we don't deal with assumptions in the legal field. It's a major no-no. So we deal with only the facts, ma'am, only the facts. And when you start believing what other people are saying in groups regarding this, it's a mistake. It can be very discouraging. I'm here to tell you, whether you have a PhD, bachelor's, 2-year degree in paralegal studies, ABA approved or not, or a certificate, or none of the above, you can land that job if you communicate in your cover letter. Don't know how to do it? Yes, you can take my cover letter secrets class, but you can also not take my class, okay, and do this. The lady that emailed me, did she take my class? No. But if you need templates and you need help, yes, you can take that class. But I'm here today to tell you that I don't want you to let anything stop you. Okay? Don't let anything stop you. What I would love for you to do instead is go Google areas of law where you see jobs right now and find out what paralegals do. Remember, you're going to be a paralegal, the assistant to the attorney. You're not going to be an attorney. So you won't be giving advice. You won't be setting fees and that type of thing, right? So you will be a paralegal, an assistant to the attorney. I want you to go to Google, for instance, and if it's a family law position, then you're going to look up, what do paralegals do in family law? What are the duties of a paralegal in family law? And you can even put your state name in there. What do paralegals in Indiana? What are the paralegal duties in Indiana in family law? Something like that. Just switch around those keywords. Play around with that question, okay? Yeah, Tanika, I'm in Florida. Miami and Orlando, Tanika. Good, Megan. Megan says, well, Tanika's thinking of moving back to Florida and asking if there are jobs here. Yes, there are. And but look up positions in Orlando and or Tallahassee or Miami. But in Miami, you would, not always, but it really helps if you're bilingual. Megan's starting her first legal assistant job tomorrow. Yay! Yeah, well, Jennifer, I'm going to tell you, it's all down to your cover letter. Okay? I promise you. And it's communication through that. You got, and then in the meantime, oh, you're welcome, Tanika. In the meantime, and Tanika, FYI, I'm about an hour, 45 minutes north of Orlando. And I used to live in Tallahassee. Never lived in Miami, but I've worked with attorneys down there, believe it or not, and remotely. And I would, I'm not sure where you're thinking of going, but if it's either of the, Central Florida or Northern Florida, you're not going to really have a problem, okay? Yeah, Jennifer, it is totally possible. And I don't want you to be like the person who emailed me, and think you're X'd out of getting a job. Now, it depends. Like, if I used to live in a teeny tiny town in Oklahoma of 15,000 people, and I lived out in the country. I lived gosh, over 10 miles outside of that little teeny town in the country. So for me, I had to travel 40 miles one way to Tulsa to get a job where it made sense. And in my tiny town, I really didn't want to work there. You know, it's like, it was just not the atmosphere I wanted. I wanted more of an urban atmosphere, a city atmosphere. And I had more opportunities in Tulsa. Oh, you're welcome, Tanika. Oh, you'll be fine, Megan. Just, if you're starting tomorrow, then get yourself your notebook, okay? And keep that as your private notebook and write down things that you're learning all the time, okay? And because when you find it, you get answers to questions, write them down in your own notebook, not client names or anything like that. That's private. But what you're learning, keep track of everything that you're learning. It will pay off big time. Huge, okay? So, Jennifer, there is hope. But I will tell you, it's all about that cover letter. Or, you know, I had a student of mine who took the Paralegal Inner Circle class back when I first, probably maybe the second go around that I offered it. And she lived in a town outside of the capital of New York State, but so far away from the capital that it didn't make sense to really drive there for work. But yet the town she lived in was like my town where I used to live in Oklahoma, Claremore, and you know, there weren't the opportunities there. So that's a downside. You know, there are only so many jobs in a town of 15,000 or even less, you know, a lower population. So if it's where it's a decent sized city, like I'm north of Orlando, it's a pain for me to travel to Orlando. And so I preferred to work in my area, but it's a pretty highly populated area. But are there as many jobs in my area as there are in Orlando? No. As many as there are in Tallahassee? No. So Tallahassee's the capital. There are going to be more jobs. People are, you know, they gravitate to that. So I will tell you, all of us, every single paralegal, legal assistant, legal secretary entered with zero experience. People think that that's the reason, and part of the problem is that the ads will ask for that. Don't apply for jobs as a person going for your first job. Don't apply for jobs that are way above your skill level. If it's 3 to 10 years experience that they're asking for, that's way above your skill set. I don't care if you have 10 PhDs, it's way above your skill set. And you have to be working for about 2 to 3 years before you are up to that place. And then you can command higher dollar. See, so give yourself that year to get your sea legs, to get your chops, that experience, but you can get hired. It's all about the cover letter. And also knowing, what does that particular attorney need you to do? They're not putting you through school when you land that job. So when you start that job, what area of law are they working in, and what do paralegals do in those positions? Hi, Megan. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Google is fantastic for finding those nuggets about areas of law. So if I were going to interview tomorrow for I'll pick an area I've worked in, personal injury, where it was medical malpractice and horrific personal injury, okay? We call it catastrophic personal injury. And so I worked in that area in Tulsa. if I were going to apply for that kind of job right now, then I would look at, okay, if I hadn't worked in it, what do paralegals do? What am I lacking as a new paralegal? What am I lacking in order to help that attorney? You have to cover that in the cover letter so you open the door more. And you know what that will do? That will raise your cover letter and resume to the top of a pile of over 200 resumes and cover letters that they get. It will raise it. My students have seen it happen and got callbacks for second interviews and got the job. So, Tanika says, I will be finishing my paralegal certification this May, going for litigation or personal injury. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. For those who are very open to being in any type of litigation, and personal injury is litigation, it's just a specific type, then it will make your career very flexible, where you could work for anybody who works in litigation, who works in preparing for trial. And so, it's not that everybody wants to do that. I have students that all they want to do is work in, say, real estate, family law. Family law is a type of litigation, very specific, right? Criminal law, but that's also litigation because you're going to prepare to go to court, right? So when you look at those areas, and also big if, are there jobs open in those areas? Are there jobs open? So we're not basing this on, oh, I must work in that one area. Are there jobs? Is there more than one position open in that? And I want you to get it out of here that they're going to put you through some major training program. I had more training working in Taco Bueno in Tulsa as a management trainee than I ever did going into the legal field. They don't do that there. They don't have time. Time is money in the law firm or any legal workplace. They have to work on their cases in order to make money. They don't get paid for training people. And so they've never really done that correctly in most legal workplaces. Some places do, but it's rare. Okay? So don't bank on that. Don't rest on that. Rest on your ability to do your research on Google as to what that type of paralegal does, not what the attorney does, what the paralegal does. Yeah, Brittany, no problem in DC at all. Okay? DC is a hotbed for paralegals. Okay? Even a place of all places, like Bentonville, Arkansas. Well, what corporate headquarters is in Bentonville, Arkansas? Walmart. Walmart employs a lot of paralegals. Okay, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, two large cities, and there are always paralegal jobs. Tulsa is the home of NALA, National Association of Legal Assistants. I used to work for the Chamber of Commerce right down the street from NALA, and I worked for a big law firm right down the street from NALA on Boston Ave in Tulsa, downtown Tulsa. So there are always more jobs in the bigger the city is, and more of a variety too. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I went through all of this for those who got their certificate or those who got a 2-year degree, and then you can't land the job. That job is there for you. But what are the variables with this? Is the city really tiny that you're in? Or that if not, then it's your cover letter. Okay? And if there's a 4th anniversary pricing on the cover letter secrets class that I offer, that has templates and six to 8 videos. There are 2 introductory videos, and you can take that and go check that out. I'll post it later. It might be posted if you scroll down, but I'll post that later. Also, I'm going to post the thing about getting more callbacks, and I'll go over, that's a free video in my Paralegal Hub. So I'll post that later. Stay tuned for that. When I get back to the house, I will post a link to that. You have to sign up for it to get into that area, but I'll post something for the cover letter secrets class and that get more callbacks, and also a link to the hub. But I think if you scroll down, you'll find most of that right now, but I'll like freshen up those links. Yeah, Microsoft Office, that's huge. You can't really skid by on just the basic. The more you know about Microsoft Word, the better off you'll be. No, I would not, Tanika. I would not do a professional headshot. You know, I would make sure social media, and I have videos on this on the Paralegal Career Mastermind YouTube channel, but social media is, you know, they're going to do a search. And where before we had social media, what did they rely on? They relied on maybe, and not often, background checks. But they really didn't do it much. You would think in the legal field they would, but they didn't. Social media, for in-depth video, I would go to and look for it, do a search on the Paralegal Career Mastermind channel. That's my channel on YouTube. But yes, they're going to do a search. I mean, if you were the employer, that's what you would be doing now. And see where I have such a generic name that I don't go by Leslie Sansone Williams on my resume, but I go by Leslie R. Williams. That's so generic. And my maiden name was very ethnic, Sansone, so that would be easier to find. Yes, my maiden name was Leslie Sansone, the fitness guru, that has videos out on walking, and has for a couple decades. But they will search, and if you think it's too soon, it's not, to put up a profile on LinkedIn. You know, that's one of your selling tools. I would do that. I don't care if one person said to me, but I've never worked in the legal field. You need to do that. You need to put that on LinkedIn today. Start playing around, and that's where, Tanika, you could put a nice headshot that actually you can do yourself instead of paying to have that done. But that's up to you to do, you know. But that I would not do for a resume or anything. What else can we? Yeah, but they'll still do a search. Whoops. Oops. Yeah, Brittany, just go to YouTube and put in just search for setting up a LinkedIn profile, and find somebody that you can really, you know, because sometimes people's voices, it's not enjoyable to listen to. and so I find teachers for myself for technical things where I enjoy listening to them. That's what I recommend for Microsoft Word or basic Excel, any software, anything technical. Use YouTube, and researching on different areas of law, definitely Google. But you're always looking for the paralegal side of things, not the attorney side. Like books that I've purchased, we're going to be directed for to paralegals, okay? Not to attorneys. Because I'm not going to be I don't work as the attorney. I work as the attorney's assistant. And that's quite different. Yeah, well, looking at social media, it's probably like 5 years ago or so, that somebody was on my Paralegal Coffee Talk page, and they were upset because they couldn't get an interview. But when I went to look at that person's Facebook page, it was beyond disgusting. So if I were an employer and looked at that, I would never have that person come in. It was downright frightening, and it was downright demeaning to every woman on the planet. So would that entice me to ask him to come in for an interview? Sorry, I'd pass that. There are too many good people out there to hire, but that, come on. They're going to go look at the Facebook pictures, like the header and all that stuff, and it's gone are the days where we could just hide and people wouldn't know things about us. Though they can find it pretty easily on the internet. So it's like, really, is that how you want to portray yourself to everybody in the public and potential employers? That's something very serious to consider when you're on social media. Nothing is private anymore. Nothing. So also the other thing that, look at the email name you're using. Is it a professional thing, or is it like beyond cutesy pie? Is it professional sounding? So it's not that they may just contact you through a social media platform to contact you for a job interview, or they may email you. But what's your email address look like? I won't name some of the ones that I've seen, but it's far from professional. It could be a Gmail, Yahoo, whatever. But is it your first? Is it your name? Is it like first initial, last name? Does it look professional? So that's a thing to consider. But I don't want anything to stop you. What I want you to do is learn that what you don't know, and school and a certificate are missing a whole area of what paralegals do. It was never the intention. It's never my intention as an instructor to teach you how to be an attorney and then leave out all this other stuff that's regarding what paralegals do every day in an office. That's really ridiculous to me. So that's what I want you to learn. You can learn it on your own, okay, by Googling it. And if you want to go into the Paralegal Inner Circle class that I offer, you can do that. But you can also learn it on your own, okay? So focus on what paralegals do. Don't think education and experience and lack of connection or connections will X you out of this field. That is bogus. That is bogus. That is not true. And people will come back with the falsehood of every job out there is asking for experience. If you apply to the 3 years to 10 years required experience, that's not going to get you the job. Okay, so you're applying to the wrong job. If that's what you're doing, you're not qualified for those jobs. You will be in 2 to 3 years, okay? But you are not qualified now. So when you see jobs that say 1 year preferred, 1 year experience preferred, that's a thing that should not stop you, okay? But the other thing is that cover letter in educating the attorney as to what you know how to do in the area of law he or she works in. And you're like, oh my gosh, they never said this in school. I know, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And when you do that, you will raise your cover letter and resume to the top of the pile. Now make sure you don't have any typos because they won't hire you. Make sure that your sentence structure and all that and the structure of your letter is on point, because what you're telling them in your cover letter is, I know how to write a letter. I know how to put a letter together, see? That's why I put together that class, Cover Letter Secrets. So, well guys, thank you for hanging out with me today. Thanks for your questions. There are going to be more videos that are directed right to this group, okay, that are live. But I really appreciate your questions. Your questions help many other paralegals. The ones who will watch this on replay will be helped by the questions you asked. And the more questions you ask, that's what the attorney wants in an interview. An attorney wants questions, not about benefits, not about that. And so it's very important that you always ask questions wherever you work, in this group, before you land that job. Any questions you ask are valuable and important, okay? Hi, Tanika. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Yolanda. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And I will be back tomorrow sometime. There's like work going on at my house tomorrow to redo some floors that need it. And so hopefully I'm going to be able, if it's not too noisy, to go out, go into where I work. And hopefully I'll be able to work tomorrow, because I do work remotely. So we'll see what happens. My attorneys are well aware of what's going on. So have a great one, and again, I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you hopefully tomorrow in a live video, probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Okay? All right, have a great one. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.